Welcome all. We're going to a tier list, a One Piece villain tier list. For context, I'm obviously a long-term fan of the series, and we got Blunted Moon here, who hasn't watched the series, so this is going to be like first reactions, and then we're going to talk about them and figure out how good of a villain they are. And that can mean like just how much you like them, or like sometimes the more you hate them, the better of a villain they are. But
yeah,
I think we have a bunch of good.
let's do it. I get
Yeah.
the gist.
All right. So first up, first on this list anyway, we're gonna start with Gin. He's kind of a weird one to start on for a villain because he's an example of someone who's a villain because they have to be, not necessarily because they want to be. He basically made friends with one of the main characters, and he's like, I don't want to fight him. But his boss, which we'll go into after this, is making him. Yeah, if you look him up a bit, you can see he fights with the poles with the balls on it. He's pretty good. He spins them around.
He kind of gives me some Vinny Hilt vibes, doesn't he?
Kind of. His character's a lot better than him, but visually, I could see that. Kind of like a skinnier guy.
Yeah, don't mess with me.
Right. He's pretty tough, though. Like, he gives Sanji a run for his money. I think he breaks his ribs.
Oh, man.
Yeah, which...
Anybody that breaks another person's ribs, they should be looked at as a formidable opponent.
Yeah.
Sure.
So...
In any series.
Even though he's cool, he is technically a villain, and... Well, he's implied to be dead through his own sacrifice. But it's not confirmed. So he could come back, but he probably won't. I think Oda kind of left
Here's
him.
a good point. What was the reason for the sacrifice? Was it self-sacrifice for someone that he cared for, or was it just
Kind
for the
of.
hell of
Yeah, well, his captain used a giant smoke, like, poison gas bomb. And they all had a gas mask, but he put it on Luffy and then breathed the gas. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So he does have some form of courage, some form of heart.
Yeah.
Right? Gave up his own life to some degree.
Right. So,
I don't know if he knew how dangerous it was.
I personally would put him in B tier, and my reasoning is that it's hard to call him a villain, so is he a good villain?
Right.
But he's a really admirable character, so it's not like I'd rank him low.
I'd say maybe C tier.
C tier?
Yeah, that sounds fair. Well, I mean, for now, I mean, we can always move him around depending on
Right.
how the list changes.
I could say C tier. It's a good start because it's right in the middle. We have S, A, B, C, D, E, and F. So we'll put him right in C tier. And then next...
Your list, I thought it was just A, B, C, D, S, F, or what? I don't know. I can't remember what the whole tier list.
I don't really know. I didn't look up any references. I've just seen so many different ones. I think people just make their own and go with it. I made a very basic one.
Yeah, we'll just run with it.
Right. So next up we have Don Krieg, the captain in question. And this is an example of a villain who's a villain because he wants to be a villain, and honestly not really any other reason. He doesn't have a big backstory. He's just kind of a jerk.
Kind of has to be with that kind of royal purple coat and shit. Like he's really bragging about it.
I know. Yeah, he has like diamond gloves and everything. He basically shows up, and he's the opposite of Gin. They feed him, and then instead of being all like, you guys are pretty nice people, he just sends Sanji through a table. And he's like, all right, I'm taking the ship. I ruined my ship. The ship's mine. And so that was his whole thing. And then Luffy didn't like that, obviously. Beat the crap out of him, shattered his armor, and that was basically it. He basically, yeah, you see it right here. He's full of weapons. He has like nets and spikes and poison gas and darts and whatever. He's a coward.
Yeah, he's pulling out all the tricks. He's got them all hidden in his sleeve, man.
Which, I mean, this setup on the right guy would be pretty cool. And to have a guy just be evil because he feels like it is very simple, but I kind of respect that.
Yeah, I mean, the world needs evil people, and sometimes you just kind of need them to own it, you know?
Right.
Just stand there and be like, I am fucking crazy.
Yeah. I'm gonna do it because I feel like it. Screw you. No one cares. And so he becomes a good. Yeah. Oh, I didn't even realize that as a reference. That's funny.
I was gonna bring it up if you didn't.
Yeah, that's Don Krieg. That was the commenter.
Yeah, Don Krieg showed up incarnate and was like,
nobody cares. Shut up, Don Krieg.
All barrels.
Yeah, so he fulfills the whole, like, villain, you want him to get punched, but he is kind of shallow. I'd say this is a good B tier. It's a good thing we didn't put Geen in B, because, I think this is... Because you want to see him get his ass kicked. He's a jerk, and kind of a coward. So
I could see being more evil. That's kind of the whole, like... That's why he would go in B tier, because honestly...
He could do better.
I think S tier is reserved for, like, world-ending foes.
Yeah.
Like, the most power that you can... It's almost unfair, you know?
We'll get to the S tiers, don't you worry. I'm looking at him right now.
Hell yeah.
I don't know how we're gonna explain some of the things he's done on the video, but we'll find a way. Next up, we're gonna go into the future a little bit. I figured this guy would be good. Caesar Clown.
Gas.
Yeah, that's basically his devil fruit. He can turn into gases of any kind. He can deplete the oxygen in the air. He can make explosive gas. He can make poison gas. He can do anything. He is currently working for not currently, but when we find him, he was working for the government, doing drug experiments on children, kidnapped children, to turn them into giants. And these drugs had horrible withdrawals, and if they got taken off it, they would get very aggressive.
It'd be like giant children with temper tantrums.
Basically. And so, yeah, the Straw Hats, they take care of that. Chopper does his doctoring. They take care of him. Caesar gets treated very badly in the story afterwards, so it does make up for the things he's done. But, I don't know. He's kind of weak, which is good, because, like, shouldn't give that guy, like, that power. That's coming up. So when he does get punched, it's cathartic, it's nice, it feels good. Like, yeah, punch that guy, but, I don't know. Kind of makes you want to do more than just punch him.
Yeah, not to mention, as a villain goes, right? Since this is a villain tier list, after all.
Yeah.
His powers, you know, how the hell somebody like that use those powers for such things? Why wouldn't he be using them to, like, turn himself into, like, a super-powered version of himself, right?
I think he does.
Those influences, does he? Because if he does, that would make him, in my opinion, at least an A-tier villain, because he's not just trying to search for power. He gets it and uses it for more than worse things than you can imagine, like turning children into monsters. That's a pretty big no-no.
Yeah, no, they some of the Straw Hats really don't take well to that. I mean, they're all disapproving, but some of them who are more like parent roles, they're just really mad. But no, he does develop a gas that turns people into stone. Basically, that's his whole, like, mega power. And so he can make himself into that gas as well. So if you punch him, you turn to stone, you know. So, you know, Luffy, he, you know, gets his hockey up, punches him. His giant inflated fist, they turn to stone, but then he shrinks it so the stone falls off. But, you know, stuff like that. And it's pretty cool. He is strong. He just went up against the, you know, main character, and, well...
That is...
Yeah, but I don't know. Although he's a really good villain, he's done some really bad things, and he got punched for it. I just feel like it wasn't satisfying enough to, you know, just have him punched and then treated badly.
Should have been like, something that disabled him from doing this to children in the future.
Right. Right. Take his devil fish. Remove his bending.
Yeah, there's so many options, but honestly, I think that's a sign of a good villain when they don't disable them, because obviously there's some play in, some part for them in the future that they play, some role.
Yeah, he ended up just being kind of a henchman for a bigger pirate crew later on, and just honestly constantly used as a slave, and it's really funny. You love to see it. But yeah, there doesn't seem to be any use for him. There's another guy. He's not on this list. We might have to make a part 2 because there's a few people who aren't here. But there's a similar guy who's just as bad, and he does have a use, but we're not talking about him right now. So I don't know if it would be A or B. I almost want to go for B just because, I don't know. Just something about him isn't good enough. And he definitely killed a giant axolotl for no reason.
When did that happen?
Well, he gave a devil fruit to a ball of slime. And it was an axolotl fruit, and so it turned into a giant axolotl and obeyed him, but then he killed it. Maybe I'll have to rewatch the arc, but...
That sounds like a clear, obvious trait of a villain right there.
Yeah, he kills an animal, he experiments on children... And he's also just kind of a loser. So I almost want to give it A tier. But
yeah, I was thinking A tier for sure.
Yeah, because he put in the work. He built his resume.
Yeah, he did some of the worst things you can imagine. So
yeah.
For that, he's earned his spot.
Exactly. So I did find my order list of which people were doing. So next up, he's more from the beginning of the series. His name is Kuro. Basically what you see here. He has swords for fingers, and he runs around on his tiptoes real fast.
Okay. Shoot for someone that does that.
I know.
You would think he'd have, some tap dancing shoes. Tap, 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 tap.
Well, basically, that's one of his attacks. He doesn't even have a devil fruit or a power, but he has, this footwork maneuver called, I think he literally calls it the pussyfoot maneuver or something, because he's the captain of the Black Cat Pirates, so they're all cat-themed.
So, fighting, eventually somebody probably says, quit pussyfooting around.
If it wasn't an anime, probably.
Yeah, you can't be saying the ASS word.
Right.
And it's a donkey. That's not gonna slide.
So his whole story basically is he didn't want to be the captain anymore, so he faked his death and became a waiter for a rich family, which is also the romantic interest of Usopp, the sniper. And he, I think, might have poisoned the parents so they died, or just waited for them to die, and he is poisoning their daughter, Kaya, and so she's weak and dying, and he's waiting for her to die so he can inherit all of her money and just kind of live an easy life.
He just wants to chill, huh?
Yeah, but I guess she wasn't dying from the poison or something, so he ordered his crew that he abandoned to raid the village. And of course they messed it up because the Straw Hats got involved and was, fighting the pirates, so they couldn't get to the village. So Kuro's like, oh my god, this, my plan is not happening. So he goes down to the beach, like, what is going on? Sees that the Straw Hats are basically just bullying these pirates and gets involved. And then he kind of starts pussyfooting around real fast, killing his own crew and the Straw Hats, because he just wants to kill everyone. And so Luffy doesn't like that, because, you can't just kill your own crew, so he gets mad, goes crackhead mode, and then basically just one-shots this man. And that's his story.
Holy. It doesn't feel as intense, does it, as the last one? It just kind of falls flat of that.
Right. Yeah.
What did he do other than pussyfoot around?
Well, I mean, he's fast, so he's cutting people up and everything. He kicks the crap out of Usopp, even though he's down. He's basically just wanting to kill Kaya, and she's just this normie. rich lady, but it's like the whole trope of like she doesn't act rich. She's not like posh. She's really caring or whatever. So how could Kuro want to kill her? But he does, and he's basically, this is one point where he kind of loses cool. And he's like, "You think I like being around you? All these years have been torture, giving into your every whim, your every whine." And she like breaks down. And he's like, "Whatever." So
is there a reason for his hatred for her, or is it just unfounded?
He's just a bad guy. He's just a heartless dude, and he just wants her to die so he can take her money.
Pretty villainous thing to do.
Yeah, so he has like psychological warfare going on. He has a little bit of intelligence in that stupid head of his. I don't know if I could get away with having that in this video. I don't know. That's dark.
It'll be in the unedited. You have to remember.
Right? Yeah, that's in the one you have to pay for.
This will be in my membership section if people want to see this footage.
Sure, yeah. So, well, only because Krieg is also in B tier, I think I could put Kuro in B tier, because again, he did the villain things, but he is kind of an underwhelming person.
Right.
I believe also in the show they're back to back as far as the plot goes.
Yeah, one after another.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna give you my honest opinion, I think he's probably a C tier.
You think so? Put him down with Geen?
Yeah, I don't think he's really earned his way.
Yeah. Krieg spent a lot of money on that armor. And that's the only reason I think he's in B tier, because he does have a lot of weapons. But Kuro, he is just kind of stupid. He just has a lot of swords.
He really wanted you to think of him as a villain when he was doing all that. He's like, "I have to make sure these are made of diamonds. This will be gold."
Yeah, he's like
Yes.
cartoonishly villainous.
Everyone can definitely say that is a not really relatable, but
respectable.
As villains go, it's respectable, yeah.
So he's in C tier. Next up, we have Eneru, or a lot of the Japanese dub watchers will call him NL because that's what his manga name is, but I call him Eneru because I watch the English dub.
Do you have long ears with locks on the end of them?
He does. They're rings, not locks. But yes, he has very long earlobes. I was waiting to see if that was something you were going to notice.
Yeah, I'd say that was the first thing I noticed. And then the second thing I noticed was that he has way too many abs.
Yeah, he's got a long torso. Also,
pack, dude.
He's built like a god, which is ironic because he considers himself a god. We find him up in the Sky Islands, which, is what they sound like. They're islands in the clouds. And he's up there. He has a electricity devil fruit, basically. I think it's the thunder, but he does lightning attacks and stuff. So
I have the thunder fruit. I'm going to throw bolts of lightning at you, but that's lightning. What about the lightning fruit? Don't
shut up. Yeah. I think, well, the fruit's called the rumble fruit. Rumble implying thunder. Okay. But I think it's kind of vague, so it's just like he's a lightning man. He's made out of lightning. You can't stab him unless you have hockey, but no one knows hockey yet. That's basically like something that bypasses devil fruit powers.
Somebody should market that as a nice, smooth alcoholic beverage.
What?
Hockey,
yeah. It'd be like completely black. Black sake, hockey.
There you go.
Right? Oh, maybe.
With charcoal and hints of death.
Activated charcoal. Yeah.
Makes your eyes glow red, but then they disappear and you wonder what the fuck happened.
Right. Well, so, yeah, basically the Sky Islands, they have a hierarchy where instead of like a king of their land, they have like a god of the land. And originally he was like a nice old dude who could fight, but he was mostly just like respectful and nice. But this guy shows up after destroying his home island because they didn't agree with him or worship him as a god. He destroyed it, killed everyone from his homeland, shows up here and it's like, "I'm going to be the god of this country," and then kicks that guy out. And then makes it so they have, like, everyone in the village has to, say good things about him. And if they say anything bad, he'll use his, mental hockey and, like, pick up on because he mixes his electricity with his hockey so he can feel the electronic waves across the whole island. He knows what everyone's saying at all times. And if they say anything bad, lightning.
Is he really godlike, or is he just what's the word? Omniscient?
Omniscient.
Yeah.
Omnipotent.
Omnipotent, where he just kind of is up
know.
there and like, if you say shit like about me, I will shock you. And you're like, okay, well.
Yeah, they'll kill him, yeah.
And it's like, what does he do for the world? What is he, what's his power that he's using for any purpose other than to smite those who talk against him?
Is all he's really doing is sitting up in the throne eating apples. He did kidnap a bunch of the soldiers of the village to first off weaken them, but also force them to build a giant flying ark. Because he believes in a legend called, it would be like Endless Earth, but they call it Verth because, I don't know. So Endless Verth, and he's talking about a moon.
It's odd, so it's like flat, right? So he's a flat earther.
Right. Well, he's going to learn because he's going up to a moon is his goal. Because he thinks that's his, like, God-given right to live on top of the world on the moon.
Hey, I mean, try. I mean, I don't know if I have any free real estate on my face or anything, but...
Right, yeah, he's going to go up and hang out with you.
Oh, but I'll probably smack him away with my big bat.
Right. Well, in this universe, I think there's like 7 or 8 moons, so I don't really know what's up with that. But I guess he got a few siblings in that universe.
He got a little confused what happened. He was like, he was looking up at the moon and he's like, I am going to go there. It's going to freaking happen.
Yeah.
Made all these people build him this thing and he's like, all right, we're almost there. Shit, which one am I? Oh, there's like 18 of them. Holy
right. Where am I going? Yeah, so, which would be all good and well. He could just like build the ark. Yeah, what he did was pretty messed up. But instead of just leaving, he's like, all right, now that you built this ark for me, I'm going to run it myself because it's all electric powered. The throne in the middle being like the battery pack, essentially.
Who do you hire? Elon Musk?
I know, right? Well, he stole the ancient city of gold and used all the gold to make the like electronics and everything.
Okay.
So once it's all built, he's like, all right, I'm going to bring this myself. I'm going to kidnap one of the Straw Hat's women, take her with me. I'm going to destroy the island and everyone on it because screw you guys anyway. Thanks for the ark, die. So, yeah, he's basically just a genocidal maniac. Because he destroyed his homeland. He's going to destroy this homeland. He's going to destroy the homelands anywhere he goes. And so...
one of everything you have on this planet, and I will put it on my ark I had you make for me, and I will disappear while you all rot and die. It's like the opposite of the story from the Bible.
Right.
The ark.
So... once Luffy goes up against him, he realizes that lightning doesn't affect rubber, and then proceeds to, after all of his suave whatever, he proceeds to make this face. Very satisfying moment. Luffy doesn't even know what's going on, but he's like, oh yeah, rubber, right, that would make sense. So that's the moment he realized that his power is useless on Luffy. You would think that would be the end of it, but he turns a bunch of gold with the electric heat into a spear and starts stabbing Luffy, and then fuses a giant gold ball onto Luffy's arm and throws him off the ship. He's like, holy crap, I'm destroying this world, get me out of here. But of course, Luffy, being a crackhead, runs up the giant Jack Beanstalk with this giant gold, 12-ton ball on his arm and proceeds to punch him with the ball. And then, so he basically runs off with his tail between his legs. He does get to the moon. He finds a lot of stuff there, but he might come back. He found an electric army, like electric droid army.
What the hell is on my face? We're going to put that into another video.
Right? Yeah, apparently you have a droid army on you. So he got there, and he's just kind of there now. He's not back in the story yet. Have like Attack of the Clones. Droid army.
Yeah, like Roger on my head.
So
that sounds like a pretty good story arc.
It was kind of annoying how many, because he actually got killed, but he uses electricity to start his heart back up.
You can't put him down. He's just invincible, you know?
He Goku'd it.
So could he theoretically be killed? Would they have to take his heart out, is the question?
Well, I mean, nobody had developed hockey at this moment, but if they did and they, punched him in the throat, that would be like if you just punch a normal dude in the throat, If you can imbue your sword with hockey and then you cut him, well, it's basically just like cutting a guy with it. So he can be killed. The Straw Hats, at this point in the story they were at, were unable to. Luffy, just being the natural resistor to his fruit, was able to punch him because he's rubber.
Crazy, man.
He's
probably one of the best powers, honestly, just be made out of rubber.
Right. So basically, yeah, he's not dead. He's not really out of the story yet. Like I said, he went up there, found the droid army, and then we just haven't heard about him ever since. Like, he's just up there, and he might come back. And that kind of adds to his villain level. Like, you're always wondering if he's going to show back up.
I think it does, actually. Now that you say it, I'm wondering whether or not he's doing something with this droid army.
One more thing I do want to add before we decide where Eneru sits in the tier list is that he is designed to look like Eminem. Like Slim Shady.
That's funny.
And that is a funny little addition, but I don't know. For me, Eneru is a classic, and he has a lot of potential. Like I said, he could come back. I like his power too. I'd put him in A tier.
Where did you get the information about him looking like Slim Shady?
Oh, Oda does a bunch of reviews. They're called like SBSs, and I think someone asked him about it, and he confirmed that like his look was inspired by Eminem. He takes inspiration from real world characters. Honestly, like all of his locations and characters are kind of like plays on real world people, like especially famous pirates, because we have like Edward Newgate. What was another one? Blackbeard's the main guy, but his name is I'm drawing a blank on what his name is. Where do you think he should be?
In my honest opinion, I think that he probably belongs in C, because he does have some potential. It's not like, I don't think he belongs in D or F tier. I think he just belongs in like C tier, because he could be more. There could be more to him. Honestly, I think that the fact that he's modeled after Slim Shady should knock him up a few notches.
Right. I mean, we could do
But
B
there's no
with
real
Don Krieg.
See him. It would be nice if they showed him like do a rap battle or something. Then I'd be like, you know what? He's a pretty big tier villain. But it's just he's modeled after Eminem, and I'm like, that gives him at least C tier. His arc is good, but he's gone, right?
Yeah, he did just run away at the end. He didn't even
story.
He didn't even stick around to get knocked out. He just ran away. Yeah, that would knock him down a few pegs, huh?
So I'd say C tier.
You know what? I agree. I was gonna try and
type of continuation.
Right. He hasn't come back in years anyway, so I think he really did just leave. I was gonna try and compromise for B tier because I was thinking A, but you know what? Yeah, C tier. I agree. So next up, we have another Devil Fruit user. Except this time, he really is just kind of an idiot.
Is that all armor? Like, that's all steel or iron?
Yes.
Jesus.
And I believe he made it himself because his Devil Fruit ability is that he can eat anything. Like you see, he's eating the sword like an ice cream cone. And he can take his materials and make it into other things.
Interesting. So he can just kind of like spit out whatever he wants?
Yeah, he ate a battleship, and then he had a bunch of cannons come out of him.
That is a talent right there.
Right. And when he shows up, so he was the king of a kingdom, a snowy kingdom, and he was a really bad king. He was very selfish. He selected, I think, 13 doctors, because the land was known for its medicine, and essentially locked them in his castle only to treat him, and then like banished all the other doctors from the island so he could monopolize healthcare and heal people that he felt like healing, not, anyone who needs health.
Well, I'd say that makes him pretty villainous.
He's basically America. No, but
yeah. Oh man.
But he's a jerk. So Blackbeard, the main villain, was going around looking for devil fruits, and he showed up before the Straw Hats got here. Basically bullied him a bunch, and Wapol ran away on a ship with a couple of his friends and immediately got lost at sea and spent so long away because he couldn't find his way back. But he runs into the Straw Hats, follows them back, and then tries to take the kingdom back. And there's a whole revolution. And honestly, he gets punched off the island at the end of it. That's basically it. Later on, he does end up making a perfect medal that later on, Frankie, the cyborg guy of the Straw Hats, he ends up using this medal because it's harder than other medals, and he uses it to like upgrade his body. So he has a use in his stupidity because his devil fruit is kind of just like a factory.
Yeah, he's basically a human factory.
Yeah, a steel factory, essentially. And
impressive.
So he ends up getting the world's government permission to be a king of a different island, because if you're a king, you can just be given an island. And so they asked him what he wants to rename the island to, and he's like, so the original kingdom was Drum Kingdom, and he straight up looks these government officials in the eye and says, I want to name it Evil Drum Kingdom. And they're like, you know what? I love it. And they let him do it. So he gets a new kingdom, produces this medal, and that's basically where he's at now. So he made a life for himself. That's cool. He is an idiot and a jerk, and he hits kids. But at least he had a use. I don't know. I don't like his design either. I think he looks stupid. That hair just screams like that kind of person who never showers. I think that's just really greasy hair. I don't know.
Well, yeah, he's a factory, so factories normally aren't very clean.
He's a sweatshop.
Yeah, he's got a bunch of, people working inside of the place.
Right. I mean,
the devil is just full of people, and they all go building things in his stomach.
Oh, so you bite into it, and like a bunch of mini people are crawling out like ants.
Exactly.
He'd still eat it. He'll eat anything. Look at this guy.
That's how cooler cookies were invented. They found a devil fruit in a tree, and all of a sudden all these little guys came out, and they're like, we're going to make cookies!
He's a frustrating character because his devil fruit could be used so much better. If he wasn't an idiot, this devil fruit would be very dangerous because one of his, I guess you would call it attacks, he eats his, second in command crewmates and turns them into a fusion. He literally makes a fusion out of these people.
What the? So this guy immediately gains 2 tiers on my list.
Yep.
He can transform people into other forms.
He can Dragon Ball fusion.
What if he ate Luffy? That's a whole video in itself. What if this guy somehow were able to eat Luffy and eat, Zoro? Right. What would happen? What kind of level of ridiculous power are we talking about here? He'd have, multiple arms. They're all rubber.
Right, because he could eat the swords and everything.
Man.
But he's so unlikable and stupid and just lazy, essentially, that no one wants to work with him. He's not around anyone. He's just sitting in his kingdom making metal and hanging out with his hot wife. And so he's useless. His power is incredible, but he's very useless.
That's funny.
And it's frustrating. It is funny and frustrating. So honestly, I'd give this guy... fusions are cool, but the frustration of not utilizing it puts him in, at least a D tier for me, if not E. He's very disappointing.
If E is an option, then yes, I will do an E.
Yeah. There's D, E, F.
Okay, D, E, F. And then S is also in there as well, right?
Yeah, S is best villain. There's one that I have a vote for, but
A, E.
E.
I wouldn't at F tier just because he has so much potential.
Yeah, he's not a failure. He's just frustrating. And
If there's anyone that deserves the C tier, it's somebody who could be an S tier, but they chose to just fuck around, you know?
Yeah, essentially. And Oda hasn't forgotten about him because, like I said, he made his medal relevant for Frankie after the time skip. I think he was in the the meeting of all the kings recently. That was a story beat. So he's still doing stuff. He's gonna come back. So yeah, he's not a failure like some people. Looking at you, Eneru.
Let's see. What's your opinion on him? You think C tier or E tier as well?
I agree with E tier. He's just annoying and dumb. This is actually funny enough. We were just talking about. This is my vote for S tier. I'm just gonna say that right out. We have Charlotte Katakuri. Katakuri. I don't know. This man is massive. That right on the bottom of the screen in the black shirt. That's Luffy standing in front of him. He comes up to his knee.
And he exists in some shadow dimension with weird stuff.
Well, this is his sister's devil fruit. He's from a pirate group that's entirely made of siblings, with the captain being Big Mom and Emperor of the Sea. She basically made her pirate crew by having kids and killing the fathers. She's a tyrant of the sea. This is kind of an example of a guy who doesn't want to be a villain, but he knows he has to. It's similar to Gin, but a lot more buff and tall. And he has a devil fruit that is very similar to Luffy. He can turn into mochi, you know, that stuff they like put ice cream in and whatever. The food.
He can turn into mochi.
Yeah, and he can like stretch and make giant fists just like Luffy. He has a development of Haki where he can see the future. So fighting him is damn near impossible, but Luffy, obviously being the main character, learns this ability in the fight, Dragon Ball style. And at first this guy just seems like a hard ass, but once you learn his backstory of like he as a kid just liked to mess around, but there was this president said that like he could never be caught laying on his back because that's like a sign of weakness, and he's the perfect offspring. So to protect his siblings, because he was just kind of a jerk to people, and then they were like, well, we can't take him down, but if we catch his sister at the right point, we can, you know, mess her up. So they give her a giant cut across her face. And so he goes like perfect mode, and he never shows his face. He never like lets anyone go. He, you know, kills everyone essentially that he goes against because he is, you know, the perfect member of the Big Mom Pirates. He doesn't really have a choice.
I guess what I want to know is, was this just a background choice for the
Oh no, okay, yeah, so it's his sister's ability. She has, or the one who got cut actually, she has a mirror ability where she can go in and out of mirrors, and the world beyond the mirror that she transfers from mirror to mirror is this place, the mirror dimension. That's why there's mirrors on the wall everywhere.
Interesting.
Those are all the mirrors in the world. So yeah, this guy shows up on Luffy's ship, and he throws him through a mirror, jumps through the mirror too, with, you know, using her power. And then once they're on the other side, breaks the mirror so we can't get to the ship, and fights this guy one-on-one.
Jeez.
Yeah. And almost dies, but see, Katakuri, he's not a villain, kind of, but he is, because he will kill Luffy, and he tried to, and very well was capable of it. But at the end, one of his younger sisters, like younger, interfered with the fight when it was getting good, once Luffy was starting to learn the ability. And Katakuri got so mad that it wasn't a fair fight, and that the first blow he was able to land on Luffy was through assistance. He grabs his spear and stabs himself where he stabbed Luffy.
Damn.
To make it a fair fight. So, like, really redeeming guy. Again, is only being a villain because he has to be. And for a little bit more of a wholesome reason than is my job. Because it is, like, to protect his siblings as well. So.
Yeah, I almost wouldn't consider that a villain to somebody. I would consider that somebody who, and this does happen in many different stories, where they're considered a villain because the story that you're following is seeing them as a villain. But
Mhm.
in reality, from their perspective, they're just doing what is right, protecting the ones they love or whatever. Not necessarily villain-esque. I wouldn't say he's an F-tier villain because he's pretty huge.
And he is villainous. Like he's not. He will kill someone. Like
Right.
he will not hesitate to. And so he's like. I see what you're saying though. He's not a villain, and so that he could land in F tier easily because he, at the end of the day, might not be a villain because he is still probably going to be the next in command of the Big Mom Pirates after Big Mom goes. And I think they'll still have to remain in their alignment, and I think Katakuri would have no problem still being all like, no, we're not allies with you, Straw Hats. Like, still don't come back. Just like, I respect that fight. Because eventually, at the end, Katakuri, I think, not gave up, but admitted, like, Luffy was an equal. And it was like, all right, we don't have to fight anymore. And just decided to do the thing he was sworn never to do and just laid on his back and was like, whatever. Because he's bleeding out too, and so it was a ruined fight. But they might have a rematch without interference,
And what if he does take a more villain-esque quality? That's the thing. There's always an underdog element to villains.
Right.
And like, if he was given the chance, like you said, to murder, to commit a ton of kills upon innocent people, possibly, I think that this character could take a big leap up the list very quickly, just based on the obvious qualities.
Right. Yeah, I feel like he would definitely, if he's not someone who I think could just switch to the good side. I think he's still going to have a tendency for killing if it seems logical. He's like, well, this person could come back and, harm us when we're not looking. So I just killed him. What? And it's like,
or two.
Yeah. So I don't know. A villain with a conscience is that
I'd say E tier.
E tier?
Not exactly F tier, but not exactly a villain. When you say who's the biggest villain, right? It's a pretty vague, and that's why it's a good tier list, because it's kind of hard to discern that without bouncing it off of somebody else,
Right. Let me send it on Discord.
So you're thinking S tier, and I was thinking E. I'll meet you at, how about a B tier?
B tier. I could go for that, because I guess, yeah, I would be willing to change from S, because I guess he isn't the perfect villain. He's just a really good character.
It just seems like he's built to be a villain. He has everything going for him to be a villain, but he's not choosing to be a villain. He just
wants to eat donuts.
Guy. Yeah, he's just very tough.
He has an affiliation for donuts, and he has his own donut song that he sings while he eats donuts.
That instantly tells you he's less villain. I'm just saying, like, it's very innocent and childlike to be like, donut song, I got my donut.
Yeah, but it's like, if anyone interrupts it, they die immediately, because, like, you're not supposed to see that. Nobody sees the donut song and lives.
Which still sounds adorable. I don't know.
I know. Well, halfway through the fight, when he thought he beat Luffy, Luffy comes back and interrupts his donut song. And so he goes, like, completely berserk mode. He loses it, doesn't do his future sight. He just goes monster mode because he's so mad that someone else saw him in his imperfect state.
Sing his donut song.
Yeah, like, no one sees the donut song and lives, except Luffy.
That's funny. I'll have to give him a higher grade. I'll go A for that.
A? I'll put him with Caesar.
Yeah, the donut song, it
it brought it up. Yeah, I have to remember to say everything about these characters.
If he's willing to kill people over it, then I mean, as a person who doesn't know the series, it does help to hear these things. That's what I'm judging this off of.
Right. I like that.
That's why I'm not really talking that much. Not because I don't have much to say, but because I don't really know what to say until you tell me about his donut song, and then I'm like, holy crap.
Well, I mean, honestly, it's been perfect so far. Like with Eneru, it's like, those earlobes? It's like, that's the perfect and first thing to say about this guy.
First thing I noticed.
Yeah, so, yeah, we'll put him in A. Next up, we have this cartoon character, Gecko Moria.
Wow. Okay. That looks like something out of the mind of a deranged Thanksgiving patron.
Yeah. I'm not really sure what's going on with his body.
It looked like they were going to draw a Thanksgiving turkey from the waist down. No, get vampire.
Right.
Turkey vampire.
We turned this turkey into a vampire, made him the villain of a One Piece arc.
I mean, that my first impression is he looks like he probably is evil. He knows he's evil. He likes it. And I don't think there's anything you can do to stop him from wanting to be evil. Except maybe open him up from the belt like one of those Russian egg dolls.
There's like a smaller one inside.
Yeah, it's just like until you get to the little cute one that's making a smiley face and you're like, see? He's not so bad.
I think they did that in like Danny Phantom or something. Which is on topic for this guy because so when he was younger, like 18, 19, Luffy's age, he was more of just like a goth and less this thing, and he was pretty strong. He was after the One Piece. He was, an ambitious guy, just strong, fighting people, doing his own thing with his own crew. But I think he got betrayed by his crew. Right. So he kind of turned a little sadistic. He uses his devil fruit power, which is, I believe it's just the shadow fruit. So it's what he does, and just makes him more of a cartoon character. He takes people's shadows, cuts them off with giant scissors, and then puts the shadows into dead bodies where they turn into zombies, controlled by the shadow. And they're forced to do his bidding because he makes a contract with them when he does them. And he actually hires a master surgeon who was like banished because of his extreme practices as a surgeon. Because he'd sew people together and make these experiments, and then Moria would put these shadows in them. And so we get to the island and we have these, half person, half tree zombies, half unicorn, half person zombies. Like all this mishmash of body parts, all under his control.
You have more zombies,
right? Well, because he figures like, well, I can't trust my own crew, so I'm going to make a crew, and it's just going to be a bunch of slaves. So that's why he starts to look like this, because he gets lazy. All the zombies do the work for him. He gains a bunch of weight, and this is how we find him later on. This is like bad timeline from what he was originally as a kid. We don't know that until later, but...
So what does this guy eat?
Think of like a typical Gothic castle feast.
Okay.
He basically has that every day. Like whole turkeys.
The typical Gothic castle feast, everyone. 5 stars.
Yeah, like the giant turkey bird or whatever, and then... Basically Thanksgiving. He has Thanksgiving every day.
I was just about to say, that's why he looks like that. Because it's what he loves. It's his favorite holiday.
Yeah.
I would give him a B tier just because there's no villains that really own their egg shape in such a way.
He does make it work.
It's kind of like the Penguin from Batman, but in a more weird... He's got horns. Why does he have little tiny horns on the tip of his little egg head?
He's a certain race. I don't know, because his skin is naturally that color, too.
That is very strange.
Yeah, he's something else.
The stranger a villain, the higher the rank, I think.
It's really funny, because when he was 18, his legs were like normal legs, and now I guess they're just like 2 inches. One Piece characters in general they're just built different. But I can see that B tier, because he does play a pretty good villain. He has a cool crew that everyone gets to go against. Despicable people, you just want to see them squashed, and one of them does get squashed.
Look at his face too. I mean, it basically screams, "I will eat your firstborn child, and I will take over the world."
Right, and he has like the attitude of a villain too, because at one point, one of the world government people show up because he's one of the 7 warlords of the sea, which are pirates who work for the government to basically be pirates but not attack government facilities and like show up if they need, the force of pirates. So an agent shows up, another warlord, and he's being like, "Hey, you got this? Luffy's kind of kicking you around." He's just like, "How dare you? Do you know who you're talking to? I'll make quick work of this kid easy." Just like throws the help away, which is funny because he says he can do it, turns around and immediately gets a castle thrown on top of him. But he still has spunk. He goes around. He's relevant in the story. One of his crewmates is still loyal to him. So he has that much redeeming quality. He may or may not be dead. I think he survived, but he went to a very dangerous place last we knew because Blackbeard stole one of his crewmates, and even though Blackbeard's like the most dangerous pirate in the world basically right now, this guy shows right up on his doorstep, starts bad-mouthing him, calling him a coward and everything, "Give me my friend back." And then I think it gets revealed to this guy that his friend is dead. They killed him and took his devil fruit. And he's like, "So now that you know that, you want to join my crew? I mean, there's no one here for you." And he's just like, No, of course not. I'm going to kill you." And so he might be dead, but he did not give in, to temptation when he did see an easy way out. He stuck to his guns and he fought for his friend. So I feel like this is a guy who was a really cool guy, got very cold and bitter, got beat up by Luffy, and then kind of started to have a comeback and potentially got snuffed out before he could. Tragic. I think worse than Katakuri, I don't think he would ever turn good, but I think he would develop more compassion for his crewmates, at least. He'll still be a villain, but he'll be like a good captain.
Right. Honestly, I feel like any villain that looks this evil, I mean, it's just comic book style, even hilarious. I have to give him a higher rank because of his presentation. Because a lot of the other ones, you can't see the evil as much.
Right. Like I said, this guy's like a cartoon character. So, because he is like comically evil, but I think it's like in a perfect way. So I'd go for a high rank, at least A tier, if not S tier, because as far as like a good villain goes, yeah, he's not super like makes you want to punch him, so I wouldn't put him in S, but B or A, because he is a solid villain, almost Don Krieg level, because Don Krieg was a little comical with his giant gun sets and armor and everything.
Yeah.
So I vote B tier, but
he wants you to punch him because he's shaped like one of those things that won't fall over when you punch it.
Oh, what are the... Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Like,
Wobble.
Yeah, it's like what Wobbuffet is from Pokemon is based off of.
Yeah, Wobbuffet.
Yeah.
I mean, that gives him a more likable quality as a villain.
Right.
Is a good thing for a villain because they don't stick around if nobody likes them,
Right.
I'd say B.
B.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're in agreement on that. That's good. Next up, we have the most recently defeated villain, who was a villain of an arc for 4 years real time. Kaido, King of the Beasts. He is an Emperor of the Sea, which there are only 4 of, just like Big Mom, but a different one. He, I believe, is half fishman, half human. That's why he's tall and built like that. He has very skinny legs, but his devil fruit, he just turns into a dragon. Like a Chinese dragon, kind of. Not like St. George dragon, the long serpenty one.
Interesting.
So he takes over a country, country of samurai, where Zoro's from, actually, but he doesn't know it. He was like born there and then immediately transferred. But anyway, so he takes over this country, boils the leader alive and in oil for an hour. But then when the leader of, not really the leader, but like was going to be the leader at some point, when he doesn't die after being boiled in oil for an hour, because he's that tough, Kaido just kind of shoots him in the head. He's just like, well, you made it through the hour, like the agreement, but I didn't want to let you go, so shoots him anyway. He falls into the oil, smiling, because he just, you know, he got the better of him. He's satisfied. He's dead, but...
so he's gone. At the end of this, he's completely gone.
Kaido, well, no, the guy who he boiled is gone, but I don't know if Kaido's dead, because he's so overpowered. His skin is, like, harder than iron. There's this whole... Yeah, Luffy had to learn a whole new hockey technique to punch him from the inside out in order to damage him. Because, like, nothing can hurt him, nothing can kill him. He's been executed, like, millions of times, and the execution methods just don't work on him. Like, he's been hung, guillotine, electric chair. I think they even tried to drown him at one point, but he's part fishman, so he didn't drown. He's jumped off Sky Islands before and, like, body slammed into, like, ground islands and just been fine. So at the end of the arc, I mean, this is going to be... Huh?
Why not feed him a shitload of salt? Just keep shoveling salt in him until he dehydrates to death. Give
him a heart attack, dehydrate. I mean, he probably would be fine because... on top of... Because he wants to die. This guy wants to die. He keeps trying to kill himself. But he can't because he's too tough. So he's also, like, drinking all the time and, like, getting drunk, going dragon mode and crashing into mountains and stuff.
This guy's really asking for it, huh?
Yeah, so eventually Luffy punches him as he punches everyone, but he punches him through the island into a pit of lava where he is fully submerged in the lava, and that's the last we see of him. Which would be ironic if he dies this way because of how he boiled that one guy. But I don't think he's dead. I think he's just treating that as like a hot bath. Like lava won't even burn him type stuff. So he might be back. I don't know. He is a really good villain. He has some redeeming qualities, but at the end of the day, right when you think like he might be on the verge of some humanity, he's like, no, you guys are just going to be enslaved after this. No one's going to be free. I'm going to kill Luffy. You're all going to be slaves for going against me. I'm going to starve you. I'm going to kill you. I hate you all. And it's like, okay, Kaido, dang.
Isn't that like a common theme in One Piece? Like,
enslavement.
You're all going to be slaves now.
Yeah, well, yeah, because there's a heavy theme around freedom in this. That's why they're all pirates, you know? Because they want freedom. So, yeah, it's a heavy theme of slavery.
It's such common, like, you know what I mean, though? Like, if your world's so focused on that, and then it's used as an insult, or I don't know how, you know, it's just like, you're all going to be enslaved anyway, so la-di-da. And it's like, I don't know, man. Is that really an insult? I mean, look around. Everyone's probably been enslaved around here at some point.
Right. Yeah.
Is it enslaved by somebody, somehow, in some way?
That is a big theme. Like that, if that's interesting, this whole series will probably interest you because yeah, like slavery is a big thing. A lot of these people were slaves. There's a heavy level of racism in the world, portrayed between humans and fishmen. You know, it's like the humans look like humans and the fishmen look like scaly, you know, people who are stupider than fish, blah, blah, blah. We'll just make slaves out of them, but then they are like fully sentient humans. So it really touches on racism and slavery and, you know, the elites ruling the world. This is his dragon form, by the way, I sent.
Really?
Yeah, he has that form and he has a hybrid form. See if I can find a picture.
Shenron-esque, I mean, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I mean, imagine if that guy who came to your country and said, I'm your new ruler. What would you do?
I would probably climb along it and be like, yeah, sure, hold on, I need to like get all the way to the end of you so I can talk to you. And then, all right, and then you get all the way up there and you're like, hold on, I'm almost there. You get there and you just spur its head off, and then another one grows out. Oh shit!
Right.
And then you get something about that.
Yeah.
You gotta kill it. It's in some way. I mean, this thing would annihilate everything you know.
Yeah. He basically will and does. But that's his hybrid form. Yeah, this guy shows up and hits on your girl. What do you do?
Yeah, I don't know, man. You're gonna have to figure that out. You gotta go for something. I don't think the bat or even the gat would do that. Flamethrower? Elon Musket? Grab your Elon Musket.
Elon Musket. Yeah, I mean, honestly, that could have been the name of one of Luffy's attacks, because he basically did that. He got a new transformation. The gifts aren't loading. I can't send any more gifts. Luffy basically takes this dragon and uses him as a jump rope. He gets a new transformation where he unlocks Toon Force. He turns into Tom and Jerry cartoons. Luffy does, and then just makes a joke of Kaido, which is so funny after years of seeing this guy, you know, be super serious, or, you know, when he's not drunk, and then like super imposing, indestructible, untouchable. You have to have a special technique just to hurt him. No one can touch him. And then Luffy shows up with his transformation, turns him into a jump rope, and just like goes Looney Tunes on him.
So is this the scar on him? Do you believe that might have been heavily inspired by the same exact scar that Broly has? And then if you look at the way he's dressed with the purple garb draping over the belt, and there are some gold accents, he does have bracelets. They're not the same as Broly's from Dragon Ball Z, but I just think there's so much of a resemblance here of Broly, don't you?
Yeah, I can see that. He is very Broly-esque, and with his like brute power, yeah. I wonder which one came. Well, I mean, obviously, original Broly came first, but like the new Super Broly, I wonder.
Yeah, with the scar, you see that it's in the exact same spot, I'm pretty sure, as Broly, and it's in X, which is the exact same pattern that Broly had.
Right.
Nice.
Potentially. On my end, I'm a little burnt out on Kaido, because like I said, I had to watch him for 4 or 5 years do the same thing, like real time. So I'm a little bored of Kaido. He is a really good villain, but I'm interested to see where you would rank him with everything you know, because he is just like super imposing, strongest. His title was strongest beast in the world, I think. Or world's strongest beast, because his world's strongest man, world's strongest beast, and world's strongest swordsman. Those are like the 3 major epithets. World's best. And he got the beast because he is.
Yeah, I mean, he is villainesque in the sense that he's ominous and his power is pretty almighty. I would say, and he is somebody that you can injure, though, if you can see by the scar.
Yeah.
If somebody can scar him like that, then it's not impossible to kill him, you know?
That was the guy who he boiled.
Yeah. If someone can do that kind of damage to him, then he's not invincible for sure.
Right.
So he's not like the most powerful character, but he's pretty mighty. I would say C tier.
C tier? With Captain Kuro?
Yeah.
I agree. I might have put him in B tier, just because like he is pretty powerful. Like he's a uniquely strong character, and that intimidation alone, I think, at least puts him up with Moria. I mean, I would have settled for A tier, despite being sick of him, just because he is that strong. Say what?
Do you think Maria could take him down?
Well, so actually, it's funny you say that. When Moria was like 18, 19, when he was actually like in good shape and fighting people, he used to fight with Kaido all the time. They were basically rivals so to speak, until Moria let himself go. Which kind of would mop the floor with Moria right now. But yeah, back in the day, they would go head to head.
Well, I would say that probably moves him up. I mean, if you want to put him in B, that's fine, but
I think B tier is a good spot for him, right next to his rival.
yeah, if he's able to conquer his rival, though, then I don't know. We'll go B tier, just to be safe.
We'll move him up in B tier. You'll be next to Krieg.
A buffer, yeah.
Yeah, that's a compliment. Yeah, that works. Cool transition here. Speaking of fishmen, our next villain is a full-blooded fishman who grew up in Fishman Island, which is at the bottom of the ocean in a giant bubble, and heavily subjected to racism for his whole life, on like the bad end of it. He was essentially treated as a slave, a nobody. We'll give you the picture. His name is Arlong. And if you see the tattoo on his chest, that was originally a branding from when he was a slave. And he eventually got freed, sailed with another fishman who had a little bit more standing in the world. And he actually rescued a slave girl and returned her to her family. But because they were fishmen, the people on the island killed the captain. So this made Arlong here just completely despise humans. There's no helping them. Maybe they should be subjected to the slavery we were subjected to. So he goes to the East Blue and he takes over an island, happens to be Nami's homeland. And basically holds them all hostage as slaves and forces them to pay tribute every month or year or so to stay alive. And if they can't pay, he'll kill them. Because that is how the government treated them their whole life. So he essentially becomes a slave owner of an entire island. And he's so cold and bitter because they killed his captain who saved him and he looked up to, that he just hates humans. He'll just kill them all. So he shows up, and there's this whole thing where Nami has an adopted mother and adopted sister, so they get put in this position where it's like, well, you have no birth records, and you only have enough to pay either for yourself or these two kids. She obviously pays for the kids. Arlong kills her mother in front of her eyes, and then basically takes Nami and makes her a member of the crew to draw maps for them, where he would, lock her in the tower and force her to draw maps, or he'd beat her or whatever, or threaten to kill her hometown,
The more you're talking about him, the worse he sounds.
Yeah, he's a really bad guy. And it's just, we don't know his backstory when we meet him. So when we meet him, he's just this horrible person. Completely cold, will kill everyone, manipulates, uses mental and emotional warfare, kills family members of people if they don't listen to him. But later on we do realize why he's like this. And it is tragic, and I think if, the people who were his good role models growing up weren't killed unfairly by these people, I think he would have had potential to be a good person. However, he's not, and he's an unforgivable villain. We don't even know where he is. Now, Luffy left him unconscious in a pile of rubble that was his giant base of operations. And we don't see him again. We visit the prison where all of the people Luffy has beaten are held, and he is not there. We don't know where he went. He might have been taken back to, his original slave owners, and he might be subjected to that again. But we don't know yet. We don't really know where he is. But he took his beating like a man. He is a very bad person and will do it again. He's a good villain. I really think he is.
Well, I mean, the way you set it up, he's one of the worst. I'd put him up there with the one that was torturing children. But
yeah.
Put him pretty low on the list.
Right, which, because he literally was also torturing children with, Nami, which is one of the Straw Hats that, when they saw what Caesar was doing to the kids, she got triggered. So, she went off on him. It was really cool. But it sets up a lot, this character, and so I put him in A tier. as a long-term One Piece fan, he's more of like a classic villain where he was in the first couple arcs. So my nostalgia wants to put him at S tier, but I think where he isn't really even in the story anymore, will, yeah, keep him at A tier.
I mean, he can always make a reappearance, which is another quality that would give him a higher ranking for sure.
Right. Well, someone who was on the crew that Arlong was on with the good fishman leader who got killed, someone from that crew was actually now on Luffy's crew because he is a good guy. So, I don't know, there might be a redemption arc, but I really don't see it. He's kind of in the same slot as Eneru in that sense, where like he might come back, but I almost doubt it. For different reasons. But yeah. Because for all we know, by the time we get to, regrouping him in the story, he could be dead. Because he went back to slavery and they could have just killed him.
True.
Yeah.
It'd be cool to have closure on that because, I mean, it's
right.
a cool character design, cool story.
And it'd be a good moment of, Luffy be like, even he didn't deserve to get killed by you guys. Like, so it'd be a good moment. So A tier's good. There's going to be a little bit of whiplash here. It's the last two ones, and we have one of the stupidest first and then one of the worst after him. So,
that's good.
A little bit of comedic relief coming in. After all that, we have this guy. This guy's name is Foxy. Leader of the Foxy Pirates.
There's so much going on here.
Yeah.
Wow. This is Count Chocula with something hanging out of his pants.
Count Chocula.
He's got a Snickers bar hanging.
That actually makes everyone uncomfortable. Everyone else I've shown this guy to. You said, does he have a reverse what?
It looks like he has a reverse tail. Like he has a tail sticking out of his crotch. It's a little weird.
It's a little phallic, which, I mean, I don't know. It kind of fits his character because he's kind of a loser, an idiot. What do we call? Luffy calls him a split head because of his hair, and he gets really reactive to it every time Luffy calls him split head. He falls to his knees and starts he just gets depressed. Like, they think I'm stupid. He has a really stupid accent. His devil fruit, and this is similar to Wapol having like a really good devil fruit controlled by an idiot. His devil fruit slows down time for 30 seconds. Like, essentially
slows down time for like a little bit.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's lazy. He could probably extend the time if he trained with it, but he settles for the 30 seconds he was given. And so he can, like, if he hits you with the beam, you're frozen in time, and he can sit there and just punch you in the face for a while. And then when it's over, all the punches hit you at once. So, like, even though he's weak, he can punch you in the face 10 times, and it's like someone 10 times his strength punched you in the face. He's also pretty manipulative. He runs essentially like a pirate carnival game, where you bet crewmates, and then enter a competition, and whoever wins gets the crewmate that was bet.
So a slave lottery, essentially.
Essentially. It was a pirate game made up probably mocking the slave trade of back in the day. So he runs this whole thing, and this is how he has a giant ship with a massive crew, because he keeps winning these games with underhanded tactics and getting a giant crew. So he ends up actually getting a couple of the Straw Hats, and then, Luffy has to get them back, and there's this whole back and forth, and eventually it ends with just like a duel where Foxy has to fight Luffy one-on-one, and so he's like, and we're gonna spin this bottle to see where the battlegrounds would be, and like it starts spinning and obviously like magnetizes to the ship, like his ship. He's like, oh, it happens to be on the ship. Okay, so they fight on the ship. There's a bunch of traps there, a bunch of machines that is designed for Foxy to use, and Luffy's kind of an idiot sometimes, so he falls for it. And even this loser, complete joke of a character, he pushes Luffy. He really almost takes him down a little bit because of his power, devil fruit power, being so overpowered. But he's an idiot, so he's wasted. So, I don't know. I'd put him down with E, Probably F, actually. I put this guy in F because he's not coming back. We know that for sure. He's not doing anything. He doesn't care. He just wants to go on vacations and sip margaritas. He gave up being a villain. Because at the end, he lost the game so hard because Luffy was like, let's bet all or nothing. So Luffy beats him and then gets his entire crew and ship, and which he immediately dismisses. It's like, all right, now that all these thousands of people are now technically my crewmates, I'm firing all of you. But he lets Foxy keep two, like his right and left hand, shipmates, and gives him a little skiff and sends them on their way. Yeah, he gave up. He doesn't want to do stuff anymore.
Yeah, and he's got the penguin nose. It's just kind of get that weird Snickers bar hanging out of his pants.
He's a failure of a villain.
He looks like Count Chocula. I like Count Chocula, don't get me wrong, but he's not pulling it off. It looks like crap.
Yeah. Do you agree on F?
Yeah, I'd say F tier. I mean, he's not trying at all.
No.
In fact, his special ability is to not have to try even more.
Literally, yeah, he's worse than Wapol, and that is a truly accurate statement. My laptop says we're running low on space, so we're going to go on to the last guy. And this is Don Quixote Doflamingo. This is the worst guy in the world. This is actually S tier. So, this guy was a world noble, like the owners of the slave trade, up in the clouds, living best lives while everyone else suffers. But when he was a child, his father was like, it's not right living like this. We're not better than everyone. I'm going to take my kids. I'm going to go down to the world. I'm going to live with the people and live like them, live like people and respect these people. And so he does, but the people hate these world nobles so much that it gets really dark. They tie his father and them up out of their second story window and like start shooting them with arrows and throwing rocks at them and stuff. All while having them blindfolded because they just hate the government so much. They're going to get an opportunity to do this to them, so he does. So Doflamingo, as a child, getting shot with arrows and blindfold, whatever, he gets so mad at his father for subjecting them to this, even though he had good intentions, that he kills his father and takes his head back to the world nobles, and he's like, hey, he was a traitor. He took us with him. I killed him. Can I be let back in? And the nobles were like, no, you breathe their air. You're worthless. Go, leave. So they wouldn't take him back either. So this guy, he was like, all right, well, I guess I'll just take over a kingdom. So he finds a kingdom, and his devil fruit power is strings. So he can use it to puppeteer people. He can use it as a weapon, like injecting shots. He can stab people with it. He can do a lot with these strings. He is awakened, so he can even turn whole buildings into string waves and stuff. At one point, he entraps the whole island in a giant bird cage of strings and like slowly closes it and cuts everyone up. Yeah, he's very strong, and he's sadistic. So like he's like puppeteering the royal army of this island to kill all of their civilians. He kicks the king out, and this is gonna be cut from the video, but yeah, he's literally like full villain mode, which was the princess of the kingdom, and then kicks her out anyway, and then continues to like torment her. Everyone. He continues to torment everyone, even his own crewmates. He just knows how to talk to them to get them to do what he wants. He is a puppeteer. He's a puppet master of a villain, and he's very strong. He's very cold. He will kill everyone while laughing maniacally. I think I've sent you videos of this guy's laugh. The only redeeming quality about this guy is his laugh, but the things he's laughing at are not funny.
Right.
And he actually ends up, well, his brother, the other one that got brought down, he ends up becoming a Marine and a double agent So he sticks by Doflamingo, but also reports to the Navy. And at one point, Doflamingo picks up a few orphans, one of them being Law, Trafalgar Law, which is a major player and like one of Luffy's friends, actually. Now, but he treated him like they treated, Doflamingo as a kid, really horribly manipulated. And his plan was to give this kid a devil fruit, the operation fruit, and that fruit has an ability where you can make someone immortal at the cost of your own life. So he was going to take this kid, force him this devil fruit, and then force him to give him that surgery, killing him. But his brother intervened and died for him, and then he got, an opportunity to go free and became his own pirate and has this lifelong plan of, like, killing Doflamingo. So he eventually teams up with Luffy, very easily makes an alliance with him, because Luffy was like, I can tell you're a good guy. Whatever. Yeah, let's team up. They take down Doflamingo. They completely usurp him from his stolen throne. They give the kingdom back to the original owners, and Doflamingo goes to jail, where there's this whole jail system where it's like in the ocean and the bottom floors for the worst villains. And so it's what they did is they cleared out the bottom floor, like completely, no one left in there, to put him in there, because he knows so much about the government's secrets, being, at one point one of them, that they can't risk him saying anything to anyone. And he's down there chained to the floor, laughing, saying all these secrets that, like, he should be put down for, but even though they wouldn't let him back, he is still a noble, so they can't kill him. Basically, he's in jail, he'll break out, and he will kill more people, because there's no stopping him. And he's very important to the story character. I think that might be enough information.
I would say S tier just because, what more do you need from a villain?
Yeah.
This guy looks like he ran into a JCPenney's and smacked the bitch and stole all their shit.
Stole the boa, yeah.
Yeah, looks like he just kind of wants to run the world, doesn't know where to start,
Yeah, so he just kills people and manipulates them.
Yeah, I think he's definitely earned S tier.
Because he's strong enough that him getting punched down was satisfying. He is a perfect villain. There is no redeeming him, and he will continue to be a villain. So, yeah, as far as a villain goes, I'd say he is the perfect villain.
Yeah, it makes me sick.
Yeah, it kind of makes what Caesar did not as bad in comparison. And Caesar did some bad stuff.
Yeah, this guy did bad.
Yeah. This guy sucks. Everyone loves him, though, his design. Like, there's this one YouTuber who actually got the idea from, I believe the channel is Melon Tree, and a really good channel. Let me double check that. Yeah, Melon Tree. Their persona character is, like, dressed up like Doflamingo. She's gone on record saying, like, it's not that I like Doflamingo, he just looks cool. But, yeah, a lot of people like this guy, but also hate him. They like his design.
Right.
He is kind of a power fantasy, I guess, where he is, like, super strong and Machiavellian, has everyone on strings or whatever. But, no, yeah, he's a bad guy.
Yeah, that gives him S tier in my book, I'd say.
Yeah. That is going to wrap up our tier list. We didn't put anyone in D tier.
I guess D tier... it is reserved for, like, spreading it out just a tiny bit.
Yeah, I'd put Kuro in D tier. The pussyfoot guy.
That's what I was thinking at first, so maybe there's a good reason to have D tier around, just for a place for him to chill.
Yeah, because he's not useless, incompetent, but he is a bad villain. So, okay, yeah, I'll put Kuro down in D tier. He gets his own place. Beneath Gin and Eneru.
They're in D tier.
I wonder if anyone else's tier list is in agreement with this. That'd be something that they can leave in the comments, actually.
Right.
What do you think about this lineup? Do you think that we should have had someone in a different tier? Do you think we missed any information that would have resulted in one of these villains ending up in a different tier? Or is this perfect, like everything else we do?
Also, is there anyone we left out?
There's a lot there. We could do a part 2 of this because I'm not even sure if this is half of the villains. I just figured
we can do a part 2 of this tier list for sure. Come back and kind of add to it.
Yeah,
this isn't complete by any means, but for what we've done so far, it's pretty good.
Yeah, we could definitely use this one in like a part 2 or something, and just have more villains because I think we've been recording about 2 hours now. But we can keep going. We're gonna probably be doing a video on your channel next, Blunted Moon.
Oh yeah.
Where what were we talking about? You play a game and we'll hang out and talk about stuff.
Yeah, we'll just kind of shoot the shit, play some games, chill out.
Yeah. Be good after a structured thing like this.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of just relax.
Yeah.
Have some jokes.
Have fun.
Well, this was fun, dude. I enjoyed it, and I can't wait to do another tier list with you.
Right? Yeah, I hope people like this. I enjoyed it. Check it out. Well, we're gonna. I have to
videos
the
on
camera.
my channel if you like. But, yeah,
it's all mirrored. We're gonna put the link right here. Right here is where it's gonna be, guys. All right.
Right in here, or is it over here?
Could be right up there. Should put it over his face. I don't know. I'll put it somewhere.
So it could be in my eye.
Right. If I had the processing power on the computer, I'd put like 100 links to it.
Is it over here? Is it here? All right, guys. Peace out.
Catch you on Blunted Moon.